From the High Definition Production Center of Troy University's Broadcast and Digital Network at Troy, Alabama's International University, this is TrojanVision News.
Hello and welcome to TrojanVision News for February 19th, 2018. I'm Chelsea Law.
And I'm Nathaniel Rodriguez. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Usually when someone calls you destructive, it could be taken as an insult. But one Troy University alum wears the title as a badge of honor and shared the experiences that led to the description to students as the guest speaker of this year's journalism symposium. Craig Pittman, keynote speaker of the university's annual journalism symposium, held many titles when he attended Troy University. But one particular title given to him was what brought him back to the campus to share his story to students Monday morning in the Trojan Center ballrooms.
I worked on the student newspaper, and we were reporting news stories at a time when the administration thought the newspaper should be a PR organ instead. And at one point, the dean of the journalism school told me I was the most destructive force on campus. And I don't think he meant it as a compliment.
Pittman and the writers of the Trop, the student-run newspaper on campus, reported on many controversial topics that Troy University administrators wanted to keep quiet.
I mean, we had stories about the State Ethics Commission investigating the president of the university. We had stories about drug busts going on in the dorms. We had a story about how the university was maintaining a yacht to lobby legislators at a time when it was cutting salaries for the teachers. You know, those are all pretty big stories, and we just kept on reporting them anyway.
One student spoke about what they thought was the most important thing during the lecture.
I found very useful as a senior because I'm about to go into the workforce, so I need to learn how to, deal with difficult sources and people who are wanting to kind of chill the media and to kind of keep their image intact. And I think that was one of the biggest things that we learned here.
For any aspiring journalist who would like to do investigative reporting, Pittman had some advice he'd like to offer.
Just remember, the truth will set you free. It may make some people angry, though. But just bear in mind, as long as you're telling the truth, as long as you're telling people what's going on and you have the facts to back it up and preferably the documents to back it up, too, then you should just keep going and keep doing what you're doing.
Pittman is looking to publish his next book, Catfight, a book about how the Florida panther was saved from extinction next year.
Although most of the world celebrated the new year on January 1st, that wasn't the case for Troy University's Vietnamese students as they celebrated one of their country's biggest holidays Friday night in the Trojan Center ballrooms. Stuart Bradley has the story.
This past Friday, the Vietnamese Student Association threw a celebration for Tet, also known as the Vietnamese Lunar New Year. To commemorate the new year, which was dubbed Year of the Dog, the event focused on Vietnamese culture and traditions and sharing them with foreign friends.
Tet, or Vietnamese Lunar New Year, is for family, friends, and people you love to celebrate and hope for a better year.
Music and dancing would play very prominent roles, with traditional dances both introducing and ending the show, while Vietnamese music was constantly sung and played throughout the night.
New Year is to have fun, and you can really enjoy the party without real good music.
While being a celebration traditionally for the Vietnamese, the event was open for all students, as the tradition of the Lunar New Year is to share with others. Since some couldn't be at home in Vietnam to celebrate, the students wanted to open up their culture to others.
Here we have not only our friends, not only our family, but we have Trojans, we have people from different places from around the world, which help help us have a very warm and very lovely feeling that we share a special occasion far away from home.
Us being Alabama's international campus, it's diverse, and allowing them to share their culture and spread it to us as Americans, I think that we can all learn something from it, and I believe it's a special part here at Troy.
Stuart Bradley, Troy, TrojanVision News.
In Vietnamese tradition, 2018 is considered the Year of the Dog. A teeter-totter is usually found on a playground. However, on Friday, there was one outside of the Trojan Center.
The reason it was there was to help children in need. Aaron Dixon explains how.
On Friday, the brothers of Tau Kappa Epsilon decided to raise money for the St. Jude Children's Hospital, and they did this by using a seesaw.
We do a 48-hour seesaw for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We do a seesaw because when you think of St. Jude, you think of children, and we decided to do a seesaw because it's what children play on when they go to the playground. They play on a seesaw.
48 hours of seesawing may sound difficult, but one member might make you think otherwise.
It doesn't sound as hard as it actually is, but you get tired pretty quick. We've done really good at keeping up, though. 1 hour shifts. Every brother has a shift, and it's really fun, actually.
Another member was even able to explain the overall goal of the philanthropy.
I think this is a really good philanthropy for a really good cause. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is all about, providing for who they can with no income of their own. All their money they receive is all charity work, so we do what we can to raise awareness and money for that cause.
I think it's a really good way to draw attention to childhood cancer and St. Jude and all that they do.
This fraternity might have started the seesaw 3 years ago, but they have been serving St. Jude Hospital for a long time.
Its roots comes from actually the chapter that's from where St. Jude is, so we drew our inspiration from that, and it's been a great tradition here ever since.
Tau Kappa Epsilon spent 48 hours seesawing for St. Jude's Hospital. But it not only benefited the kids, it also took people back in time. Aaron Dixon, Troy, TrojanVision News.
The Social Quad seems to be a popular place for marathon fundraising activities. This week, the brothers of Pi Kappa Phi are riding a stationary bike non-stop until Friday to raise money for their philanthropy.
Now, the latest in Trojan sports on TrojanVision News.
Hello and welcome to your TrojanVision Sports. I'm Brianna Jones. The women's basketball team were looking to bounce back after the tough loss against Coastal Carolina when they took on App State this past Saturday. And from the looks of it, they got what they were looking for. Troy shot just 16% in the opening of the game, trailing the Mountaineers 21-9. The Mountaineers were not knocking down 6 of the first 7 shots. However, that was just enough to get sophomore Amber Rivers fired up as she scored a career-high 27 points and knocked down 6 for 8 in long range. The Trojans defeated the Mountaineers 93-64, and it was the 8th time this season the ladies have reached the 90-point mark. Troy returns home to face Louisiana Lafayette this Thursday as the kids will take over Trojan Arena. Game time is set for 5 p.m. The Trojan men's basketball team were fired up and looking to increase that win streak to 5 on Saturday when they took on Coastal Carolina in Boone, North Carolina. The Mountaineers started the game with a 13-0 run in the first 3 minutes and 8 seconds of the game, and that type of play, the Trojans were unable to lead at any time of the game. Despite the tough play, junior Jordan Vernado had a dominating performance of 30 points and 13 rebounds. Troy shot just 27.6% from the floor, and Vernado was the only Trojan in double digits. The Trojans fell to the Mountaineers 54-65. On Thursday, the Trojans will host UL Lafayette in Trojan Arena. Tip-off is set for 7:15 p.m., and the game will be televised on ESPN3 and broadcast on Troy Sports Radio Network. Trojan fans have waited long enough for the baseball team to be back in Riddle Pace Field, and this weekend they didn't have to wait any longer as they hosted UT Martin. Sarah Drake has their dominating performance from this weekend.
The Trojan baseball team clinched their opening weekend series against UT Martin as they dominated the Skyhawks in Sunday's series finale 12-1 at Riddle Pace Field. And with the win, the Trojans start their 2018 season 4-0. And head coach Mark Smart talks about why the team's confidence impressed him this weekend.
I thought we played with confidence throughout the weekend. I thought that contributed to the Game 3 win Saturday night. We were down 2-0 in the 7th, and we looked very comfortable and confident. We're going to need to continue to build that out, and we're going to have hiccups. It's going to happen. We'll have to deal with them, but I'd rather have a confident team than a team that's a little bit shaky, and we'll continue to try to improve.
On Sunday, junior transfer Rush Hickson got his first start in a Trojan uniform and only allowed 1 run, which came in the top of the first inning. And Smart says he got off to a great start.
The first inning, he was ramped up pretty good, but I thought he controlled his emotions, and Stuff played great. The first run was kind of a gift. We didn't execute behind him in that inning, but really proud of him, and he got off to a great start, and I look for that to continue, certainly.
And Hickson said that being able to pitch Sunday's game in Riddle Pace Field was a surreal moment for him.
I keep telling people it's surreal that I'm even here playing, but when I stepped on the mound, and I try not to look up much, but I looked up one time and I saw a lot of familiar faces, and it kind of really sunk in that first inning. It's something that not a lot of kids get to do, and it's something I'm super grateful for, so it was a very surreal moment today.
And with a total of 10 home runs hit and only allowing a total of 9 runs during the series, junior Braden Lockridge says that the team was well-rounded this weekend.
We have, as you can tell, a pretty well-rounded offense totally. I mean, we got freshmen stepping up, Manning early, Hunter Camp playing. It's just incredible. It's much different scoring all these runs. We can kind of give our pitchers a break a little bit. They've been doing a great job regardless, but, as a well-rounded team, you need to be able to hit and be able to, keep them from scoring runs. So I think we did that really well this weekend.
And with their win over UT Martin on Sunday, the baseball team is now perfect, and they'll put their 4-game winning streak on the line when they head to Auburn on Wednesday to take on the Tigers. Sarah Drake, Troy, TrojanVision Sports.
On Wednesday, the Trojans will take a quick trip to Auburn to play in Plainsman Park against the Auburn Tigers. That game is set for 4 p.m. The Trojan softball team also got in on some action this weekend when they took on Montana to complete the Hillenbrand Invitational in Arizona. After falling to Montana in their first appearance 3-4, the Trojans seemed to have a better strategy this time around. Sophomore Logan Calhoun continued to have a solid day at the plate as she led things off with a hard hit single up the middle. She stole second base to get in scoring position, but it was a sacrifice bunt from junior Madeline Porter that advanced Calhoun to third and eventually to home. Calhoun would then make it safe again at the home plate, sealing the deal for the Trojans with a final score of 2-1. The Trojans will look to keep that momentum going as they travel up to Birmingham Wednesday to take on Stanford. Game time is set for 5 p.m.